Hey there, fellow technicians, Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan, episode 55, Readying Atmospherics for Rocketry. At the start of this stream, I'm going to do some housekeeping, and I want to talk about some of the systems at play. So, big picture, this stream, I really want to launch at least our first rocket. The bottleneck to launching rockets is rocket fuel. Everything else is relatively cheap to build rockets, but the rocket fuel is expensive. We're going to need kilomoles of oxygen to do a lot of rocketry stuff, which means keeping the farm alive is going to be important. Now, my first rocket that I'm going to launch is going to be like a survey rocket, and then subsequent rockets could be like space miners to help aid for additional rocketry or whatever resources we need, etc., etc. So here's big picture. Really big picture. I want to do some housekeeping in order to have the base be more easily managed while I'm building rockets. Because I don't want a situation again where I get distracted, the farm all dies, I lose my source of oxygen, and we can't run a rocketry program. So the housekeeping will keep me from that scenario. Once we do some housekeeping, then I'll start setting up our first rocket. And then once we launch our first rocket, I can rework some other systems as we refill our oxygen to launch farther or additional rockets. So the first piece of housekeeping is a very simple one. I am going to change the temperature of input gas for our Stirling system. I believe that we are heading out of Vulcan winter and back into summer, meaning that the gases that we are pulling in here, like 449 kPa, that sucks. That's not a lot of pressure, and that is because the temperature here was set to 923 Celsius, or Kelvin to Celsius, so that was set to 649 Celsius, in other words, but we don't get to 649 Celsius as frequently anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise or lower the temperature to 550 Celsius to Kelvin, which is 823. Like, reduce it by like a whole 100. Because I don't really care about how hot the gas is. I care about the volume of the gas. So what's going to end up happening tonight is our Stirling engines are basically not going to generate power because there's almost no gas for them to generate from. And that's a very solvable problem by just changing the minimum temperature of input gas. So that got fixed. Yeah. All right, that's housekeeping number one. Housekeeping number two is going to be the bare minimum of gas monitoring and also gas storage. So as it is now, we monitor the greenhouse because it's vitally important for our success, but we aren't really easily monitoring the amount of CO2 or oxygen or volatiles or anything that, like, I don't have meters, I don't have temperature gauges, none of that stuff. Actually, you know what? Even before I do that, there's one other thing to do for housekeeping. I'm going to split the AC grids. So we noticed last stream that, I'll turn these off, that we're getting brownouts. And we're getting brownouts because the 4 new air conditioners... there was one other thing I wanted to do for housekeeping before I even split the AC grids. I want to turn off the input night gas. I don't need more night gas. And all that's happening right now is we're pulling in new pollutants that then condense and heat everything back up. So I am turning off all the night gas logic, and we're just going to use the tank and what's in the tank right now. So at the moment, we've got 40 MPa of night gas. We're getting rid of the last of the pollutants in it, and that's 13 or almost 14 kilomoles of volatiles, which is like plenty of volatiles. And I'll probably rework the system to be smarter and better later on, but like it doesn't really matter because I have such a large volume of gas to play with that it's fine for now. Not a big deal. Okay. So splitting the AC grids. So what I'm referring to is we added this new coolant loop here for the night gas cooling. And the air conditioners here are drawing too much power. They're drawing more than the grid can support. So as you can see, we can only go up to 5 kilowatts, and these are basically not running fully because of that power draw. So I'm going to split that off of the grid, and then do a little bit of gas monitoring, and then we can start building rockets. So for that, we need an area controller. And then I'll even do I'm not going to bother with a large battery, I don't think. Then we'll use a lot of cables. A whole bunch of cable coils. And I think what I'll do is run power to the night gas air conditioners through this back wall and like run it around the entire base. I would... Whoa! Oh, I'm on the ladder. I would color code it, but like I honestly don't care. Stop touching the ladder, bud. So I'll need like, I don't know, like 100-something cables to reroute the power to a new APC. But it's not complicated. I just want to get that done. So once we have the cables, we'll be good to go. And then another thing is I want to rework some of the filters here, so that there's some rhyme or reason behind them. And because everything was sort of like ad hoc on first design, and I want to like un-ad hoc it. In other words, I'm gonna scale back the scope of like reworking atmospherics so that I can actually do the rocketry. So it's not a big project. I'll make sure it's pretty small in scope. Alright, my waste tank's fine, my air tank is fine, my support is fine, batteries look fine. How about tools? Welder is full. Grinder's full. Hand drill is only 50. To be fixed. Labeler is just about full. Yeah, alright. Looks like batteries are doing alright. Which is good. Alright, let's see if this gets me what I need. And if it doesn't, you know, we can revisit it. Yeah, if I don't need cables, I need pipes, and if I don't need pipes, I need cables. It's one or the other. Honestly, often both. So the plan is, to keep this really simple, I'm going to slap the APC here. And this is going to be for the night gas AC loop. So I need one heavy cable. As long as I don't add more stuff to this, I won't really need a transformer, but I might add a transformer later on. And then I'm going to break somewhat of a cardinal rule by temporarily getting rid of the frame underneath so I can run the cable underneath rather than go up and around. I'll go down and around. And I can do some mining to make sure that the cables are exposed on the surface so that they are not nested in a way that I can't see them. Alright, so we have the APC. And then I'm going to run this cable along the perimeter of the base. And connect it up with the cable that should be poking out of the wall out there, where I want to connect it to. And before I forget, let's go ahead and flatten this out a bit. So I'm just making sure that the terrain here doesn't obscure the cable by setting it to a flatten tool. And that's what we're connecting up to. Obviously, there's like a pit here, but it doesn't really matter if there's a pit, as long as the cables aren't obstructed. Yeah, it'd be nice if longer cables existed, the 3/5s and 10s, like they do pipes and chutes. I suppose there's other tools that emulate that similarly, but like, I really wish it was in just cables, but it isn't, and it is what it is. Alright, so hopefully today, while the sun's up, we'll get, our Stirling gas refilled. Alright, and that is connected up, and I have to just do the wiring inside. But this allows us to split the grid so that we can run the AC for the night gas loop without having to worry about browning out anywhere. So I am going to snip it here. Recoup some of the cables I don't need to run anymore. Connect it up there. So now these are running on a totally different APC and shouldn't consistently brown out the base, which was a problem. So now if we take a look at the base's network, it's 1.7 kilowatts instead of like the high 3s or 4s. And these AC loops are now drawing 1.4 kilowatts, just that's all that's on the network, right? It's 4 air conditioners drawing 1.5 kilowatts. So it's smart to split it off, because that's a significant, I mean, that's like a third of what the whole network can even support, and all it's doing is 4 air conditioners. Now, with that said, those air conditioners will eventually reach temperature targets, and then their kilowatt demands will dramatically decrease. But there you go. All right, next task is to organize the gas filters. So the plan I have here is this. In order to have more of a set and forget filter, like my CO2 filter, for instance, is already dead. In order to have more of a set and forget system, eventually I'm going to want flashing lights for all of them, but I don't want to take the time to do that right now. So what I wanted to do is potentially just make a heavy filter for carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide's one of the 2 gases that I have to like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and volatiles I filter out the most. Seems like I'm out of steel, though. But, my Invar, no, that wasn't Invar, that was solder. Invar and Stellite? What was it? Yeah. So I think it's worth making the mega filters so that I can more set and forget it. Because eventually, I'm going to want, like, proper monitoring where I have, pressure and temperature of each gas that I have stored in the base displayed here. I just don't want to take the time to do it right now, because if I did it right now, I wouldn't get to rockets. So heavy filters is a stopgap measure so that I don't have to constantly monitor the filter health. Because if I have to constantly monitor the filter health, we're just not going to get to rockets. Speaking of which, I'm going to need more volatiles. So we've got 6 kilomoles of oxygen. I need roughly 12 kilomoles of volatiles to match that capacity. And there we go. Now we're also filtering CO2 as well, which is, of course, for the farm. Okay, while the sun is up, I think I'm going to take the time right now to make some more steel, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm out of steel everywhere. And actually, let me leave the Invar and Stellite in here, because I'll make heavy filters for the other materials as well. So steel run. And this is so that I can make, well, we're going to need a whole lot of steel for rocketry as well. So, you know, it's part of that too, I suppose. And yes, I'm still in flatten. Lenses on. Set default. Let's see if I can't mine this iron, but without busting the surface. No, I busted the surface anyway. I can always fix this later with a terrain manipulating tool and like a canister of dirt. We could think about that. Essentially what I'm trying to do is get all the urgent nuts and bolts of like that I need to cover before rocket making done, so that once I have you know, so that we can blast off rockets, and then once we have like rockets in orbit doing their thing, I can circle back and fix up a lot of these like half-baked systems. Now let's get 100 carbon and 300 iron, and that will be the batch we make for now. And by carbon, I mean, you know, coal. I'm just calling it carbon because people are pedants. Okay. There's the coal. Now we need to chase some ferrite. I'm gonna run out of bag space. Oops. Must say these glasses do make it a lot easier. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, one more stack, and I'm done. Okay, I'm already done. Let's get a little extra to help pay the bills, because iron is also a material that I might want. Oops, we're already filling that up. Basically, I just didn't want to leave like a partial vein down here. Alright, I think we're good. Oh, that's a weird color. Let's go make the steel. Get the rest of the filters done. Get some basic atmospheric displays, you know, pipe meters, essentially, and clean up the pipe plumbing, and then rocket building, as promised. I think I missed the hot window for today. It's cooling down, so this steel will have to be for tomorrow. So I'll put all of the processed metals into the furnace, awaiting tomorrow's sunup for smelting, because it's already cooler than 627. Once it's hot tomorrow, we'll be able to process that into steel. And for the rest of the iron, I'm just going to run it through our arc furnace with some copper. Whoops, that's not how to do that. tiny batches, but like it's just so that I can empty out my belt. The other thing I wanted to check before I go inside is, did the sterling gas get... Alright, 20 MPa. Yeah, it's much better than the 400. We have 40 times more gas available for sterling engine power production than we did yesterday. So that one was fixed. Okay, organizing the gas filters. What I would like to do is have all of the filtration units be somewhat uniform in design. Which means running a new waistline, this waistline, because I want to run the pipes like this. So the idea here is I will build... And you know what? I don't think I need my suit. Well, I should go drink and eat. Let's drink and eat, and then I'll do this. Eventually, I'm going to want, like, digital meters for the pressure and the temperature. And one weird thing I noticed was that gas displays are, like, bugged. They don't work. They don't report the correct information for pressure. I don't know why. They just don't. So it's a bit of a head scratcher, which means I'm going to need to do logic for reading and writing rather than just gas displays. Gas displays work fine for temperature though, so I could do a mix of gas display and meters. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but that's a project for later. Right now, I just want like a basic at a glance. I can see the temperature and pressure. Not even temperature necessarily, but like pressure. Maybe I'll do temp and pressure. But, okay. Farm air pressure. So this here, this display is working. I don't know. So, what I wanted was a pipe meter. A analog pipe meter, old school pipe meter, because it's going to be cheap, easy, quick, fast, effortless, so that I can get to Rocketry. And we'll drop pipe meters in all of the gases that we've got. Or at least the ones I care about. Oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon dioxide. And what I wanted to do is just have the pipe meters set up here. So that I can quickly read that it's like 21 MPa at a glance without having to grab the tablet, right? And for that matter, I want to set up the carbon dioxide to mimic the oxygen over here. Like the same sort of layout. And in order to do that, I need to move this orange run of pipe. So, I need to do a little bit of redesign in order to accomplish that. But don't worry, it won't take too long. I'm getting rid of the pipe regulator. For now, I will... Let's go grab our insulator pipes. And... fix it. Also, I don't need my suit on anymore. We have an oxygenated base. I might as well just enjoy that. Fix my hygiene. So I'm connecting it back up like this so that I can depressurize this here. Obviously, it's going up, not down. It's going the wrong way. I should have pulled the canister out first. But it doesn't really matter. Whatever, I'll have more propellant. Oh well, too much propellant. Said no one ever. That's actually not true. If you have too much propellant and it's close to rupturing, and then you step outside where it's really hot, it could actually rupture. So, like, yeah, no, that could actually be a problem. Then I want to remove the pipes going backwards so that I don't lose gas. And then I want to change this orange pipe here. So... I'm just going to cut it, like, in the middle of anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Recolor all the pipes that color. And we'll have this one go up. Maybe here? Up this way? And obviously I don't want to connect it there, because those are two separate networks. But I'll have it emerge there instead of there. And then just like the other side, that's how the CO2 runs, and that's so that I can put a pipe meter there to be able to quickly check its pressure. Because I want to be able to find out, like, if I'm running low on carbon dioxide, and that helps immensely. So we have 6 MPa of carbon dioxide, you know, 21, so on and so forth. Obviously, the volumes are different, and one of the next tasks is to sort of unify the volumes, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Are the gas capture for the advanced furnace and our furnace still working? Yes. As far as I know, yes. All right, the orange... So, the orange line here is the intake. This is the night gas. So, that connects to something, which is weird. What does that connect to? That has me concerned. I don't want to just, like, plug in something blindly. Alright, let's combine these stacks of pipes and run it up like that instead. So now I'm moving the connection point from there to there, and I'll be able to see that from outside. So, get our suits back on now that I've recouped some hygiene, and go do that. And then I'll hook up the rest of this afterwards. But yeah, I definitely can get in the habit of just, like, stripping off the suit while I'm in the base to regain some hygiene. Doesn't seem to be much of an issue. Alright, furnace, you have vented out. Perfect. Oh, yeah, that's the old CO2 line. Okay, that makes sense. I wouldn't want to connect to that. Absolutely not. Okay, there we go. So now the CO2 and volatile intakes are connected up, and it doesn't, like, block the CO2 in any way, which is good. In fact, I would even go so far as to say this CO2 drop is going to change its location, where it's connected up to the CO2 lines, and I'll fix that in a minute. Okay. There we go. And I can see pressure is rising, so we're getting more CO2 than we're using, which is exactly as intended. Then, I need master pipe yellow. And to match the same design as the other side... Oh, that's... The hell's... Oh, that's just because I didn't spray it. I didn't combine two. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So it goes up, and I'm going to have it go over the same way, like that, to add a ballast tank, just like I did with the oxygen, and then a pressure regulator there. Oh, that's not where I meant to put that. Which means... This back pressure regulator needs to move, I think. Yes. So this is the waistline back pressure regulator to make sure that this whole thing doesn't, like, grow and rupture. Grow in volume, that is. So I'll probably, let's see, I'll try to plug it in the other side. That's fine. And that should be set to 40,000. It seems to me like the cable here was just serving that purpose. Which means, because this is on the same data network, it doesn't really matter. There we go. Actually, you know what? Was it? No, it was not on the same data network. Because the farm monitors are separate. So I have to keep those two separate. I don't know how to plug that in elegantly. So maybe I do it inelegantly. I guess I have power here. And I can always clean this up later. Essentially, any, like, rush or hack job that I do here is so that I can get to Rocketry sooner. So if you're like, oh, that's messy, it's like, yeah, okay, but, like, do you want rockets? If yes, then I don't care. Alright, so this thing should be set to 40k. So we don't, like, blow up everything. And... yeah, the pressure was already climbing. It was at like 42k. So, that was averted. Good. Alright, then we want a pressure regulator. Maybe I'll do the pressure regulator here. Oh, what is getting pressurized now? Bottles! I'm not too worried about that because one of the other things I was planning on doing is adding additional volume to the tanks we have. So we're going to have to just listen for the groaning briefly, but I intend to add additional inline tanks to both the volatiles, the CO2, and the O2 because those are the ones that are going to be the most pressurized. It's just going to sound annoying for a bit. Actually, you know what we could do? If they're the same temperature, 40 and basically 40, I'm going to make a little water, relieving the pressure. Perfect. Let's turn on our water production. And done. Now it's not overpressurized. And that's exactly why I want the monitoring, so that I can see the pressures building up before they become groaning and dangerous and potentially lethal. Okay, so we have a pressure regulator here. And then the actually tank storage for pressurant or for let's get another pipe. And this is for propellant. And then this here will lead to like a ballast. Oh no, that's not where I should put that. Hold on, I screwed up. And then a small additional volume tank. Essentially reserving some extra gas downwind to the pressure regulator so that if we have some rupture elsewhere, I still have some oxygen and some carbon dioxide left over. So that would be insulated utils. Which means I'm gonna need steel. Let's hope it's like high noon enough for me to make some steel. 515 climbing. If you're wondering about the CO2 being flushed into the farm, yeah, it's 38C. It's not to say the farm itself is 38C though. But I can check on that in a minute. So steel, we're waiting on 627. daytime temps. It's almost that. And then once it hits that, we'll make our steel, and then we can make the rest of the filters and rework the volatiles now that the CO2 is basically done. Yeah, everything looks mostly normal. All right, as soon as it hits 627, we'll flush the furnace full of ambient gas and make that steel. And yeah, I don't really know the seasons of Vulcan. Like, the online, it doesn't really tell you. There isn't really a good source of information for that, but I think we're coming out of the winter. So days are a little longer and less hot. That's at least what I've noticed. Kilgore, thank you for the resub. And Faulkner, too. I, missed that. And Jay Shea. I missed a whole lot, didn't I? Alright, there we go. We now have the steel for the extra filters. And thank you for the gifted subs, too. So the farm's air temp is 24 Celsius. A little higher than the 23 that it normally is, but, in no way does it threaten the crops. Even though the intake, even though the CO2 is hot. Because, the CO2 is hotter than I would want it. So we need silicon for the rest of this. There we go. And I think this is just a, what is that, a one size? If I make an extra one, it's not a problem because I'll just use it to expand the volume of the network. Yeah, so I need 2. And let's get white spray paint while we're at it. Oh, no, it should be yellow spray paint. Let's try that again. Okay. Plug it in, and then that part is done. Well, I'll probably have to set the regulator to an actual temp. So those 2 networks do not connect. The farm and the rest of the base are still physically separated, which they should be. So this will be set at 4,000. I could go higher, that's what I'm using. And now we're going to pressure regulate it up to 4K. Done. Sweet. So we have O2, CO2 for my oxygen tank and my, jetpack propellant. The next one is going to be volatiles. I don't really need volatile tanks. Now that I've installed the Stirling engines, there's not really a need for me to have volatile gas for any other reason. But just because it's not that extra effort, I'm going to set up the volatiles to also be pressure regulated in the same way. Because why not? Let's make these red. Oh, did I ditch my yellow? Okay, hold on. Master pipe yellow, you have to go back in the ceiling. Alright, following the same schema, actually, this wouldn't even be what it should be. It would be like this. Same blueprint. Even further out. I don't really need a ballast tank for this because I don't use enough vols or hydrogen gas tanks for that to ever matter. So I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to do a pressure regulator. And I'll dye it as well. Then the util tank. One more pipe. And then the tank. Done. See, it really wasn't any extra effort. We already had all the pieces in place. And I'm almost done. Having a little bit more of a fill... I wouldn't say fill-proof, but a little bit more of a safety for our gases. So that the gases can't get screwed up in a bad way. I'm going to set this to 1600, which was the Stirling tank's pressure, I think. In case I do want to pressurize a hydrogen tank again. And then we should get a pipe meter on that as well, and maybe dye that thing red. So meter. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rotamod.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rotamod.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow engineers.